Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Ever wonder what happens after those shareholder meetings where everyone claps politely? Well, today we're diving into the messy details buried beneath those smiles, specifically looking at PTC Therapeutics. It might not be as simple as it seems. What's the real story behind PTC Therapeutics' latest meeting? And are shareholders happy or just going along? Let's find out. Before we dive in, if you like getting the real story behind corporate filings, make sure you subscribe and join our Discord community using the link in the description below for more discussion. Today we're looking at PTC Therapeutics Form 8K filing from June of 2025. An 8K is basically a corporate oopses. We need to tell everyone something important form. In this case, it's all about what went down at their annual meeting of stockholders and how everyone voted. Now let's see if there is more to it than meets the eye. The main event was the annual meeting on June 17th. At the meeting, critical decisions about the company's direction were made through voting. The filing tells us how many shares were outstanding, meaning available to vote. Each share gets one vote. This is how shareholders get their voices heard, and it affects the company future. Okay, so as of April, there were about 79 million shares eligible to vote. That's a lot of power up for grabs. What exactly were they voting on? First was electing directors. These are the people who steer the ship. The first item on the agenda was electing 3 Class 3 directors. Think of these directors as people who will serve on the board of directors for a set period. The results show Alan Jacobson got the most votes, for him at just over 60 million. However, over 2 million votes were withheld, which means some shareholders weren't completely on board. Next up was David Southwell with about 59.2 million votes in favour. Again, some votes were withheld, which means roughly 3.3 million shares didn't fully support him. It is important to remember that investors don't just follow the masses, it points to investors potentially having a disagreement with the board. Then came Alethea Young, getting around 54.9 million for votes, but with a larger number of votes being withheld at 7.6 million. This could indicate shareholders might have some uncertainty about her appointment relative to the other candidates. Sometimes shareholders vote withheld to express disapproval without actually voting against a candidate. You'll notice a category called broker non-votes. These are shares held by brokers where the beneficial owner, the actual investor, hasn't given voting instructions. So the broker can't vote on certain matters like electing directors. Usually this happens when it has to do with benefit plans or something material. Next, the shareholders voted to ratify the appointment of Ernst & Young as their independent accounting firm. This is pretty standard stuff. Companies need an auditor to keep everything honest and in check because it is important to accurately track financial performance. Here it passed easily with over 67 million votes for only around 95,000 voted against it and about 21,000 abstained. It's generally expected that shareholders will be okay with the auditor, but it ensures the company and its investors are accurately assessing its performance and success. In other words, a check on the company from the outside. One of the last items on the agenda was a vote on executive compensation. This is about how much the top executives get paid. It's non-binding advice. Basically, shareholders get to say whether they think the executives are worth the money. The results show about 60.5 million votes for the compensation, but close to 2 million votes against and some abstentions. Even though the majority approved, those against votes show some shareholders think the executives are being paid too much for the work they do. This vote, while non-binding, sends a message to the board and is worth paying attention to. Alright, let's talk about PTC a bit. The company seems to be doing okay based on this annual meeting. There were no major revolts or signs of deep shareholder unrest, but you can see that some shareholders are paying attention to certain details and aren't just rubber stamping everything. The directors seem to be fine, but let's see if there are risks to look at. Overall, it is a sign of potential risks and investors not fully on the same page with company leadership. So, although it feels fairly solid for the short term, it is something that requires monitoring. What do you think about these meeting results? Does anything stand out to you? Toss your thoughts in the comments below, and if this breakdown helped you understand, give us a like and subscribe for more corporate insights. Also, don't forget to join our Discord community in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.